Everybody ready? Come on, let's go.
The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go! The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go!
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Rick Thorne Show. My name's Rick Thorne. On this episode, I have skateboard legend, artist, musician, and all-around one of the most multi-talented, inspiring people that I've ever met and known, Mr. Steve Caballero. What's up, Steve? How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. Thanks for the call, man.
I mean, time flies, Cab. We've known each other for about, 20 years, at least?
Long time since the Vans Warped Tour. And actually, I think the first time I met you was at the Olympics, opening ceremony of the Olympics, right?
Yeah, I think that was in 1996.
Yeah, man.
Something like that, yeah. But time has flown by, man. Like, I've always admired, like, the fact that you're able to you dive into things and different things beyond skateboarding, and you're so good at doing so many different things. And I wanted to talk about, like, how did you get into art? Did you always draw?
Well, when I was younger, I loved dabbling with it. And then obviously when you're in school, they teach you that in school, art classes and stuff. And all the way up into middle school, even high school, just being creative, just doing art. It's fun to do. It's challenging, and it's soothing to the soul, And so I'd all through the years, I'd still pick up a pen and pencil and draw if I felt creative in a certain way. And then it wasn't until around early 2000s that I started seeing a lot of skateboarders doing a lot of art shows and participating in those near like skateboard events and stuff. And I'm like, man, I want to be part of that collective where these skateboarders are showing their art, So I grabbed some paint and some brushes and canvases, and I started to learn how to paint a little bit, and then I'd grab some inks and learn how to ink as well. And just over the years, put in the time work and stuff, the skills have developed to a point where people are actually asking for me to do stuff for them. And also I'm actually traveling even more for art than I am skating these days. Yeah,
I noticed that. I see that on your Instagram, and I'm like, wow, man, this is cool. Because I remember Warped Tour, those early 2000s when you were drawing more, and I saw more and more, like I knew you a little bit before that, but I noticed that you were starting to build your momentum and your interest in that. And I see that on your Instagram that you're touring a lot, going to art shows. You're even going overseas, right?
Yeah, man. Like just this year, I went to Indonesia, China, Japan, Brazil, and it's just kind of taken off for me. And it's kind of like a revamp of my career. And as a skateboarder, you don't really know how long your career is going to last. And I just been kind of hanging on to it with a thread, and just kind of milking it as much as I can. And in the meantime, I've been developing some artistic skills. So I kind of feel like I'm making this transition as an athlete into an artist, and just doing certain things for certain companies. And, I just feel the more and more you put yourself out there, the more and more people take notice and they want a part of what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's cool that you're able to see, I need to like reinvent myself to take myself to a different place. Don't you think that skateboarding and art kind of have always been together?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, that's what's been so attractive to skateboarding is the artwork that's been on the boards. I mean, that's why people buy the boards and buy the models, all the images and things that are on our silk screen on the bottom of the skateboard. So definitely our skateboard industry is very art driven, as far as T-shirts and logos and things that stand out, things that people want to represent. So yeah, it does all hand in hand, especially with music as well.
Right.
The music side, they strive on images. So, I kind of been approaching the whole art thing like I approach skateboarding. I mean, skateboarding for me was a fun outlet, challenging, and I never really looked at it as a career, and it turned into one. And
right.
That's kind of what's happening with artwork is I didn't really ever look into it as a career, but I damn sure worked my butt off to develop it into one, and I can see that it is actually becoming one, but not because that was my main goal. It was more I just love creating, being challenged, and I mean, who doesn't love looking at good art,
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I mean, you know, I think that the expression is probably a lot of the reasons why a lot of people ride and skate. But then you got the music side of it. I remember when I was growing up, we were like, "Yo, have you heard of this band called The Faction?" You know, and we're like, "Oh," and we're like, I never met you. You were just like this person that this mystery like Steve Caballero's in it. You know what I mean? And I was like, "What is
Yeah.
it? What is this?" And talk to me with music for a second. I mean, how'd you get involved with music? Was that something that spawned off of skating?
That was, obviously the same thing, something that was another thing that was challenging and something that was another creative outlet back in the early 80s. I wasn't really so much into music or playing it until I got into rock and roll, and that was through the skateboarding. And then it kind of veered into kind of like a new wave era type of music, and then straight into punk rock. And once it got into punk rock, I really, really indulged into that music, and I was like, man, I went to this record store and I saw this 45 on there, and it said JFA, and I'm like, what is JFA? And then I saw, oh, Jodie Foster's Army. What is that? And what attracted me was on the cover of their album was a picture of the singer doing a kick turn on a ramp, and the band members were sitting on top of the ramp, and I'm like, oh, they must skate too. That's cool. They skate and play music. I thought, like, dude, we should start our own band.
Yeah.
Sick. I picked up the bass and I learned how to play bass, and then I remember going into the studio, recording our first Faction 45 EP, and I remember looking back going like, man, I've only been playing bass for 6 months, and we're in the studio recording a record, and it was full DIY, do-it-yourself. That was the whole thing that attracted me to punk rock, is like, there's no rules, you do it yourself. You don't wait for these major labels to come and find you. You just kind of create your own scene, and that's what we did. We were just being little kids, being creative and having fun, and then we started playing shows, and it just kind of all snowballed from there, where one record would pay for another record, then that would pay for an album, and then the album would pay for another album, to the point where we did our 2 U.S. tours in 1984 and 85, and unfortunately, we broke up in 1985, so we were together from 82 to 85, and then we got back together again in 1989 with pro skateboarder Jeff Kendall on lead guitar. We did that for a few years, broke up again. I started some other bands until just, 2012, we were formed again as the Faction, and we've just been playing shows ever since then, and it just kind of seems like we're getting a lot more shows, and the momentum is building, and it seems like people want to see the Faction these days.
No, they do. I see that on you. I mean, dude, when I get on the Instagram every day, you're doing something, but it's things that are different. If it's not art, it's music. If it's not music, it's skating. If it's not this, it's like all the stuff you're doing with moto. That's something else you picked up on. Warped Tour. Remember, you didn't have any bike. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm gonna start riding moto, and then all of a sudden it's like, brat, cabs, like, brat. Like, you just have that ability to, like, whatever you pick up, you're so dialed and focused, and motocross is a whole nother thing you got going on.
Well, Rick, the thing I just want to teach people is we weren't created to be one thing.
Right.
And I think a lot of people kind of dig themselves in a hole, and they feel like, they have to work their whole life to just be one thing. And, I honestly believe that God created us to have many talents. But I think fear is what gets in the way of your full potential as a human being.
Right.
Get to put yourself out there for ridicule, for people judging and being opinionated against what you're doing. And once you get past that and just kind of just do things because you enjoy doing them, and it doesn't matter who you're trying to impress,
right.
You can enjoy life more, and you can discover what you're actually capable of. Like, even to this day, I mean, I don't even know if I've discovered my full potential, and I do a lot.
Right. No, you do. And where do you think that confidence came from? Do you think, like, okay, I got good at skating, so if I can get good at skating, then maybe I can be good at this, and then if I got good at this, do you think that's something you've always had?
Well, I think everybody has it. I think it's learning to trust yourself, learning to trust the fact that we are amazing people, and to not doubt yourself, to believe in yourself, to experience new things. And like I said, to get over the fear, because fear really drives people to places where they get stuck and they don't experience life to the fullest. I think skateboarding has really taught me a lot about failure and how you have to fail to succeed, and like you just can't hop on a skateboard and be good.
Right.
You know, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication, passion, blood, sweat, tears. People don't see the sidelines or the backstage of where it takes to get to someplace, you know, and that's why I make posts, because people will really, really shoot themselves in the foot by just a thought in their head, like saying, hey, you know, I don't think I could ever land that, or I don't think I could ever paint that, or I don't think I could ever write a song like that. And once you think like that, then you're already done.
Right.
You know, I'm a strong believer in PMA, positive mental attitude.
Well, you told me about that back in the day. I mean, I had it. I maybe you saw something in me that I didn't know, like I was fighting to be or whatever. But you got me a shirt that said "positive mental attitude," even though I grew up on listening to punk rock and positive music and stuff. But I just always think back to that shirt you got me, and you know it stuck. But anyways, what you were saying about a positive mental attitude, I cut you off.
No, that's right. Yeah, it's just for me and where I'm at my age right now, and I'm, like I said, I'm still trying to hold on to the dream, live a life of an athlete and entertainer. So, you know, that all really starts from your heart and your mind and where you're at mentally, you know, and if you're there mentally, you can perform, you know.
Of course.
I always say talent is 99% is mental and, you know, 1% is skill, physical. So you can have all the skill and all the talent, but if your mind is telling you, no, I can't do it, no, I don't believe in myself, then it ain't going to happen.
No, it's not. Even the thoughts are obviously saying it as well. Think about like other things you did before skating as a kid. Did you always feel like you kind of had that confidence? I mean, because I believe confidence could be learned and self-motivation could be learned and a number of things can. But do you think like thinking back to when you were a kid, like, and you're at a swimming pool and you're like 8, you're like, I could dive off this thing. Did you always feel like you were a pretty confident guy?
Yeah, I mean, not always. And I still am cautious because I don't like getting hurt. So.
Right. Well, no, I mean, but like diving into the new projects, because I admire it and I agree with you 100%. We don't tap into even a percentage, most people, of their potential. But it's amazing that each thing that you get involved with, you have some form of success with it. It's like, even though you do it because you love it, the things you do are great. And so I'm just wondering, like, when you were a kid, did you feel like arty mindset there, like naturally?
No, I don't believe, like I always say this, and I always will argue this to the grave, that I do not believe in natural talent. I mean, the only time that I'll take a pass on that is singing, vocals. Like a person born with great vocal cords, that, yeah. But when it comes to like using your hands and your feet and your eyes and your hearing, I mean, that's all learned, you know? I mean, that's all self-taught. Putting in the work, it all starts with the mind and the heart. And you don't know what people are thinking. Like, you don't know that I go to bed thinking about motocross, or waking up thinking about motocross, and during the day thinking about motocross, and when I'm riding motocross, I'm thinking about motocross, or studying, I'm looking at motocross things and watching how their techniques are. And I mean, nobody sees that, you know?
Right.
They don't know that that's on my mind. So right there, I'm putting in the work and thinking and having this thought process of like, what can I do to be better at this? What can I do? You know, so my mind is always turning. And then I'll throw in like, oh, I got to finish this art piece. Oh, I got to go to the skate park. Oh, I got to pick up the kids.
I think we're on the same page here. I've like, yeah, you got a lot of things going on, and you're like, yo. I mean, I agree with you. I think that when you speak of a natural, I believe that someone's thinking more clearly about their actions, so therefore they seem to be a natural compared to others. People will say, oh, that dude's just a natural. But no, I couldn't agree with you more.
When people say that, Rick, I think it's really downplaying how hard a person works. It's really actually, it's kind of hurtful when someone says like, oh, well, that person's just naturally gifted. They have no idea how hard it takes to be good in anything if you've never done it.
Oh, 100%.
I wanted to go back to, see, this is the way my brain works. So I've never flat tracked before. until a couple years ago. And then my friend invited me to this show, music, skate, motorcycle festival in Biarritz, France, called Wheels and Waves. And they're like, yeah, we want to invite you out here, and then we want you to come flat track, and we can get bikes for you. I've never done it my whole life. And I could have said, no, I don't think so. But I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
So I got on a motorcycle and did my flat tracking for the first time, and I had a blast, But I could have been like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I've never done that, and I just don't want to. Maybe some other time.
Yeah, but that's awesome you did that, because I think like I've done the opposite of what you just said before, and then thought like, well, why didn't I go do that? Like that would have been kind of cool. You know what I mean? But that's cool that you're just like, so what was the turnout like? Is it something that you see yourself getting involved with as well? Because you like you like all types of motorcycles, right?
Yeah, and I had a blast doing it. And where I've come with flat tracking, flat track a Yamaha 400, flat track my 1944 Harley Davidson tank shift bike, I flat tracked a Hooligan Indian motorcycle. Where I've come to the flat tracking thing is I want to build a proper vintage flat track bike that will work for me.
Right.
And then once I get that bike built, then I'll get serious about it and get into it. But for right now, I don't feel like I have the proper bike that I want to excel in that. But
how did it feel though, being out there on the track?
Definitely different skill, different mindset. The way bike has to handle. Making left turns the whole time, learning when to. There's no front brake, so you have to learn how to engine brake. You have to know when to accelerate, when not to. It's definitely a learn finesse type of riding, and then you're in there with 6 to 10 guys all trying to hit the same turn. I mean, it can get kind of hairy. And last weekend. I was at Moto Beach Classic and saw a lot of crashes, man. I mean, guys that are aggressive will get in there on you, and bad things can happen. I've seen guys break their arms, get knocked out.
Gnarly.
Motorcycles are dangerous. Skateboarding's dangerous. A lot of things I do are dangerous.
Punk rock's dangerous. Punk rock used to be dangerous. It used to be dangerous,
Yeah, I like the thrill. I like the excitement. I like the feeling it gets me to overcome a fear of something. It's just what drives human beings to excel and to experience new things, along with experience that with other people. And I always look back at that one movie that Jim Carrey came out with called Yes Man. Did you ever see that movie?
I'm not sure. I don't think I have.
It's just a guy that just never really did anything, and then his life was just so boring. And then I think he went to a seminar or something, and it talked about like if you just say yes to one thing, your life will change. So he said like yes to like everything, and his life was like.
I gotta watch that.
Crazy. I feel like that's how my life is. That's why you see me doing so much stuff, because I seem to cannot say no to opportunities that arise.
But what's cool about it is that your approach, like, just hanging out with you on Warped Tour all those years, I learned a lot, and I got a lot of inspiration, a lot of motivation.
Thanks.
I always like to do different things, and opportunities were handed my way to do different things. And I chose a different way. I was always fighting against things, and I reached a point in my life now where I don't have to fight against things in order to get what I need and or things that I love to do. So I'm a lot more open-minded and a lot more at peace. I'm not clouded, okay? And so what I always noticed about you is you weren't clouded. You always seemed calm, but you would go into things and what they would turn into. Like your collaboration you just did with Shift with the gear is amazing, dude, with your art. It's just so sick that like you got skating, you got into punk rock, art, and then you got into moto, and then all of a sudden you collabed your art with moto, like two things that you didn't really do when I first met you as much. You know what I mean? As much. So it's like it tripped me out. I was like, this is amazing. This is so rad, dude. Talk to me about this Shift collab. How's that?
Yeah, that's kind of surreal in itself, to the point like what you were talking about, getting into artwork and going full force with that to try to develop better skills, to getting into dirt biking and trying to learn how to ride, and then doing it for 5 years, quitting for 6, start a family, and then get back into it, and just putting the work in to just get out there and ride. And I think, I think because of Instagram and social media, people know what I'm doing, so they know that I'm legit as far as being into things, that it's just not for show, that they're really lifestyle things for me. But I think what has happened with the success is it's not so much just the skill level. I believe it's the friendships that I've built along the way, and then maintaining a good, loyal, honest, positive attitude when it comes to dealing with people and being trustworthy and just being friendly and kind and not burning any bridges, that it all comes around, man. You never know who you're going to run into again, and so it just kind of teaches you should be kind to everybody, because you never know years down the road you're going to run into the same person, and an opportunity is going to arise, and they're going to remember the first time they met you and what was your reaction, what was their reaction, and what they thought of you, and so I believe in that, and as far as the shifting comes along, touching people's lives years ago, it's really, really come to flourish as far as them reaching out and saying, hey, we've been noticing your artwork. We know you're into moto. We're trying this new thing where we want to do this artist series with our label called Shift. Are you down? And for me, I'm like the yes man. Yeah, let's do it. I've never designed a helmet before. I've never designed gear before, so I don't know if I want to do that. No, I just go with the opportunities. Before I even know I can do it, I say yes to it.
Right. You're the new Jim Carrey, dude. And just to see you take something else and take the opportunity, and your art's great. You're all right at moto.
I'm still working on it, man. I go once a week now.
No, I'm teasing you. I know. Yeah, I'm just messing, man. I went riding with you. You smoked me. I was like, I ain't jumping that, dude. You're good. No, but you go riding once a week, you said?
Once a week, and if I could, I would ride every day.
Right.
But I was just telling somebody right now, moto, because I've been doing it so much, and I have a lot of seat time under my belt now, that it's actually starting to feel like skating now. I can go and get on my dirt bike, and I don't have this fear that I used to have a long time ago. I don't ever think about it anymore. Like, there's certain jumps that I see, I can see them, and I go like, oh, I just need to give it this much on my throttle. I know I have the confidence to clear that. And this rut that I'm coming into, I know that if I lean into it like this, that it's just gonna go really smoothly.
Right.
So I'm really having a lot of fun with moto, and I feel like, at my age, I'm going to be 54. I'm only getting faster on my dirt bike. I don't plan on getting slower. So
that's awesome, dude.
I think if you take care of yourself, right, and get enough sleep and stay away from drugs and alcohol, I think you could live a full, abundant life where you don't have these hang-ups and you don't have these things that are taking you away from your full potential. That all comes with wisdom. I think wisdom helps you make great decisions. Oh, yeah. And you're able, if you're a wise person, you learn from your mistakes and you just don't go there again. And when you're wise, not to float my own boat, but you tend to grab opportunities when they're in front of you. When there's so many people who are unwise, they can't see opportunity right in front of their face, and they just let it go by. You guys got a show coming up, the Faction does, with Rancid, right? Yeah, we're opening up for Rancid.
Sick.
I know, is that crazy?
That's so sick. Tell me how that came about, dude. That's huge for the Faction. That's rad.
Well, we have some shows that were already lined up, playing with actually with Lars' side band, Old Firm Casuals, in San Jose at the Ritz, and then we have another show the next day in Sacramento on December 1st. Our November 30th show was set. The December 1st show was set, and then all of a sudden Lars reached out and said, "Hey, you want to play this benefit the night before in San Francisco on the 29th? It doesn't really pay much, but it's more of a benefit, to help, a cause." And like, damn.
What cause is it helping?
I don't know, actually.
So
For me, It's like, I don't care what cause it is. We're playing it for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's, but you.
It doesn't matter what the cause is. It's helping somebody out. We're opening for rent, and we say yes.
That's huge though. That's sick, man. Congrats. I'm happy for you guys. You guys got to be stoked.
Yeah, we're super stoked. And then also, I wanted to tell you is that we have a show coming up November 17th in Long Beach, and we're doing a benefit show for Alan Losey, who's suffering from this disease that he has.
Oh wow, what is it?
RSP or something like that. Chronic like
Pain?
Yeah. He's got this disease that he's going through. CRSP or something like that. That we're going to help raise some funds so he can for his medical bills and stuff. So that's in Long Beach at Alex Bar.
I'll come to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're really excited to do that for him as
I bet.
well. Oh, CRPS.
That's right.
Yeah, and we're playing with Steve Alba's band, and I guess Matt Hensley and Alan Losey are going to do a little set too.
All right, I'm coming to that. That sounds like fun. Yeah. Did you ever think back, like in the early '80s when you started a punk band, you'd still be playing music to this day, or be offered gigs?
Yeah, well, besides the Faction, I was in other bands throughout the years, and
Can I guess them? Can I guess them?
Yeah.
Odd Man Out.
Yep.
Soda.
And there was one in between Odd Man Out and Soda.
I know what it's called. Shovelhead.
Exactly.
See, I'm a Cabby fan before I even knew my man. You know what I mean?
So, I dabbled in different types of genres of music and stuff, and switching from bass back to guitar, back to bass, back to guitar, and then even like joining in playing songs with different bands, like on the Warped Tour with Millencolin, Blink-182, Pennywise.
So rad.
Goldfinger, MXPX, to like recently playing with Strung Out, playing with H2O. So it's been fun sitting in with these guys and playing. So I've obviously still played music throughout my whole career, and that's like another outlet. Just telling myself, hey, I want to be a musician. And picking up an instrument and going with it.
You just don't stop, and I love it, and I'm right there with you, brother. There's one question I wanted to ask you that I never asked, and I'm just curious. How did you get into skating?
Well, it was pretty organic, Obviously, back in the late '70s, skateboarding, roller skating, building go-karts, riding BMX was all pretty popular. Things that we did outside, versus what childhood looks like inside now, where a lot of things inside with computers and video games, and we didn't have that stuff back then. A lot of the stuff that we did was more outdoorsy. But I always loved BMX. I always loved riding my bike and trying to emulate Evel Knievel. He was like a icon hero back then. The things that he was doing on television and the movies that were coming out about him. So, I was always attracted to motocross. I always thought, how can I make my bicycle look like a motorcycle or a motocross thing? And, I had this eagerness to want to learn how to ride a bike and jump and race. And I got to a race one time, and I remember I was lining up on the gate, and I looked to my side, looked to my other side, and these guys are like 2 feet taller than me. I was always been kind of short for my age and small. And I'm like, I tried to do this race, and I'm like, after one race, and then I'm like, shoot, I can never beat these dudes. I'm too short. Like, I don't have the legs. I will never win. And, if you're going to race, what's the object of the game? Is to win, right?
Of course.
So you're not going to sit up on a gate to lose. You want to win.
Right.
So I think even back then, I already gained a little bit of wisdom, like, well, I'm never going to win on this, so why even bother?
And wait, and how old were you?
I was like 10 or 11.
See, yeah, okay, got it. You did have some wisdom to figure that out, because most might not.
So then I went over to my friend's house, and he had a skateboard, and he had like a little ramp set up, and I could already skate because I could skate down the street, and I went to try this ramp and was learning how to try to kick turn on it, I'm like, man, this is fun. And then I was coming down to Orange County to go to Disneyland, and I saw across the street these guys riding these like concrete waves. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, what is that? Like, oh, it's a skateboard park. So I started looking at these magazines at 7-Eleven, Skateboard World, Skateboarder magazine, and I started looking at these things like where these people were starting to like build skateboard parks down in like Southern California. So then I told my dad, hey, next time we go to Disneyland, can I go to this skateboard park? And I went, and I just, man, I went there with my best friend, and we just skated all day, and I never skated a pool before, and I actually got up to tile on a backside kick. I tried to go down the snake run. I couldn't do it because I couldn't go front side. It took me like all day to finally master it, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever. So when I went home, I started building my own ramps in the front yard. I tried to build ramps in the backyard, quarter pipes, and then all of a sudden I heard like, oh, there's going to be a local skate park in San Jose. So I waited and waited and waited until it opened, and then as soon as it opened, I went every weekend. I was just every day I think about going to the skate park in the weekend to meet my new skateboard friends, and then I was able to get on this skate park team called Campbell Skate Park, which paid for my skate time. I started going every day after school, you know, and I knew that like learning how to compete, you would earn things. So I earned trophies, I earned skate time, I earned skate products, and then that's what drove me back in the day was to progress and be the best I can, because I knew that I would be achieving new goals and also getting things from it, you know.
Of course, but what would you say the time? Because you were, it was pretty quick though, wasn't it? Where you were like, you started skating, and then all of a sudden, like with a year later, you were like killing it in contests. Wasn't it relatively like pretty fast for you?
Well, I remember I the first time that I went to a skate park was about 1977.
So rad,
about
man. That's so sick.
Like late 1978. Early 79, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm already sponsored by a skateboard park. I'm on their team. And then 1979, I came down with the Campbell Skate Park team to SoCal to compete against the SoCal
dudes.
circuit. Yeah, and met Stacy Peralta. And
you've been on the team ever since, right? How many years?
This year will be 40 years.
Dang.
On Pal Peralta. They got sponsored by Pal Peralta in 1979.
Wow. And you probably got 40 more in you. It just seems that you've been able to learn or to like to excel, I guess I should say, quicker than most people for the amount of time you were in it. Do you think that goes back to the fact of like the whole PMA, the positive attitude about things?
I think it does. Well, I work hard at everything that I do. I put a lot of time into things. So obviously the more time you put into something, you know, the results are going to be better and better. And being a slight perfectionist as well, and not being satisfied with the results, you always want to be better and better. And I kind of see this in my own son now. When I go skating with him, I'm starting to film him doing tricks, and he's like, "No, Dad, I want to do it again. I want to do it better." When he says that to me, I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" I'm starting to see myself in him.
That's so awesome.
You know, that he's not satisfied, that he knows that he could do it better.
That's key, man, to keep pushing yourself.
Yeah, and with that comes greatness, you know what I mean? Because
of course.
When you're always trying to improve and better yourself, you're showing that you're not done yet, you know, that you got a lot more in you. And, you know, a lot of people are just, you know, don't work as hard. And those are the ones that don't achieve much. Those are the people that always go like, well, you know, I'm just not naturally gifted. But, you know, that's not true, man.
No.
I don't know how much work you put into it. I don't know what your patience level is. You got to ask yourself, what is your patience level? What is your pain threshold?
Right.
You know, are you willing to sacrifice? You know, how much time are you willing to put in? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself.
Of course.
Before you get into anything. You know, am I willing to work hard? Am I willing to put myself through this? It's a choice. You know,
right.
I think life is a choice. There's no one stopping you but yourself.
I couldn't agree with you more, Cab. I appreciate talking with you.
Thanks, brother.
Is there anything else we want to cover that you want to promote that you have going on? That would be like any website or Instagram or anything you want to throw out there?
Well, you know, I have a website called SteveCaballero.com, and I have an online store there. So if anyone's ever looking for products that have my signature on them, or anything that I endorse with my name on it, it's a one-stop shop place to go get stuff. I just released an artist series deck that I did. It's just another medium of my artwork to go on a skateboard. Starting to do that. It's not so much to compete with Pau Peralta, my board sponsor, but it's just another way of people getting my art on a different medium. And I know people love collecting skateboards.
Of course.
It's related to me, and so it's just another avenue to express myself, and yeah, hopefully we'll see what comes from that, you know. I'm just always open for new opportunities, commissions, and I'm willing to work as much as I can if I have the time for it.
And everybody, check out Cab's website and get his gear. Check out his artwork. It's amazing. But there's one thing that we didn't cover that's huge. I can't believe I skipped it. Signature shoe. Now, are you the first one to have a signature skate shoe?
Yeah, man. 1989, Vans approached me with the idea of having a skateboard signature shoe, and I said yes to it. 3 years later, that's where the half cab was developed. The shoe, 1992. I've been, with Vans shoes since 1988, and we've had a great relationship there. And
that's 30 years, bro.
Yeah, and so it's been a good relationship, and we're just kind of pressing forward with that. And we've done a bunch of different collaborations with the half cab, and so it's been a great avenue for me to a successful avenue for me to keep being me and traveling and skating and being a professional athlete. I've been very blessed with that opportunity. It's all about relationships and give and take, and it hasn't been all good with Pal and with Vans, but we've worked through our differences and we've been able to manage to hold on to these relationships and have this loyalty between both of us. And it's admirable to have that integrity of having this relationship with these brands, Vans and Pal Peralta, for so long.
Right. It's like being married, bro.
It goes a long way, man, and we both have supported each other over the years, and hopefully we can maintain that relationship.
Yeah, and it's like when you got your art shows going on, or when you got skate demo going on, or if you got your band playing going on, or a moto event, you're able to take those brands that you already endorsed into other avenues and in other places that they normally might not get from just the not average, but the regular guy that they might sponsor for certain reasons on their team. You're able to take their product and put it in different places, and that says a lot to a brand. I've always said that. I agree with you on so much stuff with the relationships, and I tell people all the time, it's like it's not so much like what your tricks you're doing, it's like how you can get out there for not only yourself as a brand, but for the people that endorse you, because that's why they endorse you.
Be professional, work hard, and be a man of your word, have a good integrity, and just work hard for the companies that support you. I think it's an easy equation to have a long-lasting relationship.
Much love, Cab. Thanks a lot for everybody listening. I'll talk to you soon, Cab. Thanks again.
Love you too, Rick Thorne.
Much love, brother. Bye.
Peace out.